pass from Havili was magic. The shift on for Crotty. Boom, far down you go, Quackett Smith. Me, oh my, I have enjoyed that. Yes, boy.
Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
Guys, the main course, obviously, we're going to be previewing round 3, the decider, and how good are Dave Rennie to tell the Wallabies to lose game 2 so that we could make this a little bit more interesting. It is back at Suncorp again. We've decided from now on, considering that's where we win all our tests, any important game we put at Suncorp, we'll play the All Blacks in 2 or 3 Bledisloe this year in Suncorp, no doubt at all. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Why don't we push in and have a look at some of the lineups and some of the changes that we've got this week. So on screen now, you should see both lineups. And Nelson, props on the French rugby team lineup there. It looks schmick. It's almost like you work for Channel 9.
Yeah, mate, I'm waiting for the gig.
Very good. Kudos, Nelson. I was going to say, Harry, on playing at Suncorp, I think we can say as New South Welshmen ourselves complaining about the Queenslanders perhaps planting some COVID down here for having the first game moved up. We go out and do our own civil duty. If it was 1-1 and the last test was in Sydney, we might do our own civil service and make sure the game was moved up to Queensland to Suncorp ourselves just to get the result. So Suncorp certainly firming up.
Every point you throw conspiracies out there and throw fuel in the fire about these Queenslanders, mate.
Oh, mate, they've owned up to it. It's conspiracies, mate. It's just facts, straight facts. But look, how about we just get into the teams? Why don't we start with Le Bleu? Nels, mate, do you want to take us through?
Yeah, if you're watching on screen now, we've highlighted all the players that changed. So there's some significant changes here. 7 changes, I think it is, to the starting side for Le Bleu. We've got Enzo Forletta coming in to start at loose head prop. He's from Montpellier, and he's joined by Tapu Falatia from Clermont. So we've got some new props yet again for them.
But pretty massive to change that. Like their front row has been very good for him, especially Gross. I thought was excellent, and Forletta, I think it was his first game last week, and now they're starting him. And then they've got Walker, who came off the bench in game 1 as well. So they've definitely lost a little bit of experience at loosehead there. And Cargie, you can talk about the rest of the reserve front row, because I know you've got your buzzwords to talk about how good they are.
Esquadre antibombe. I don't know. We've gone for an Italian accent, French thing. Esquadre antibombe. The bomb squad in Francais. No, the bomb squad. Demba Bamba basically is the bomb.
Basically, yeah.
It's the same as we talk about. Taniela Tupou is the entire bomb squad. Mate, I alluded to it earlier. Can't wait. It's going to be great. Yes, they don't directly pack down against each other because they're both tight heads, Tupou and Bamba, but it is what we wanted to see. In game 1, we saw Tupou come off the bench, Bamba starting. Game 2, we saw Tupou starting, Bamba off the bench. And we finally got it, ladies and gentlemen. Both of them coming off the bench for those big scrums at the end of the game. It's going to be great.
Another conspiracy that is set up by World Rugby. That is a highlight for this one. And it's coming on at the end of the match, not even the start. One of these two are going to win the series.
Oh, look, I think for mine in this game, there's 2 storylines I'm most excited about in terms of players taking and going head-to-head. Obviously, number 1 is Demba Bamba versus Taniela Tupou. And the second one, look, these are spoilers, but just the outside backs, the wingers going up against each other head-to-head this week are going to be phenomenal. I won't ruin it. I'll wait till we get there. But
settle down, Cargie. Far out. Look, second row, let's go backwards a step. The second row, you got Kazoo and Teo Fafanua, the locks from the first game, back in the starting side. I thought we've already talked about how good Teo Fafanua was in the off the bench, in the last game. But Kazoo, I think again.
Are we sticking with Kazoo? Because that does not seem right. Bordeaux is a team, so let's say Kazoo.
Is it Kazoo?
Yeah, like
definitely Kazoo. But I like it. It's like you're throwing shade at him at the same time. No, sorry, I wrote that.
I thought it was like the instrument.
Yeah, good. The starting locks, and I think their most senior starting locks are Tao Fifafunua and Garasi. But Garasi is injured last week. Actually, for me, I was going to mention it in the review, but they sneakily, when he came off the bench, Garasi, in the second test, and went off injured. I think he dislocated his shoulder, and the French were sneakily trying to put back on one of their starting locks We had to halt the whole game and just get all the staff over there. Like, no, hold the phone, mate. No, you can't just put back on one of your starting locks because you've got a lock injured. So that was the only reason that their reserve fullback Boutier actually got on the field, because he didn't play a single minute in game one, and he only got on in the second one because he was the last man standing available. So,
speaking of bench locks, Craigs, you were very excited to drop your pun about Azago. He is now back on the bench this week after starting last week. Did you think much of his performance?
Look, did he have a go?
He's having less of a go this week because he's coming off the bench. But no, look, I mean, I was watching him. We did talk up the hype train about him last week. I thought, look, for a first test, probably had a good test, but wasn't exceptional. Didn't stand out for mine. Maybe that's just because Cameron Wacky was so fantastic. And speaking of Wacky, let's get to the back row. So we've got Jelange at 8 again. And look, yeah, I think I didn't know that much about Jelange before the start of these test series, but he, again, was massive last week. Like he's
only 22. I'm pretty sure he's young.
He's one of the boys from the golden era, golden generation coming through, I think. But I think he's slightly older than the others. I don't think he's 22.
All I know is that he keeps every game I watch it seems like he's getting bigger. Like he's actually enormous. I know he's very tall, but he's quite a big bloke. Definitely play number 8. And some of the steals he makes, some of the positions he gets in there, God, he looks hard to move. So he's fantastic. And then so we've got in the back row, Jelange at 8, Cameron Wacky, and Dylan Croton back at 7. And we thought he was pretty good in the first test. Harry particularly, I thought he was pretty good.
He's replacing Ibrahim and Diallo, who got his run last week. But yeah, Cretin is a very, very good on-baller, which just suits how this French side is playing. Yes, they don't need one specific on-baller, but every single person seems to be able to do it. But he gets involved in the game. You'll see him all around the paddock.
It's been a real strength from the French, their ability to not commit anyone to the ruck. They tend to try and have a full 15 defending, but then when they have a crack, they're very, very effective, and he's just going to add to that again, I think.
Look, they've probably lost their best pilferer, Denty. He got so many pilfers in the last 2 weeks. It's going to be a big one for them to replace.
And on the bench, you got Alexander Bacogny.
Begone, Begogny. I love the way you read that.
I'm starting to get disinterested with pronouncing these names, to be honest. I'm just butchering them, and it's something that I've taken such pride in before. So
I noticed, yeah. Right.
I'm just going to pause for you to say them from here on in, but it'll be interesting to see if they get him on. I'm expecting with only 5 forwards, there's going to be a fair bit of fatigue, especially with a few of these guys backing up. So it's going to be tough. I would say he's going to get some minutes, especially considering 2 of the back 3 have played 80 minutes, I think, last week.
Yeah, and he's an exciting youngster. I think he was 24, and was he the one who played for Lyon? I can't remember. But yeah, I'd definitely say he gets some minutes. You're right. Notable changing from a 6-2 bench to 5-3.
He's actually from Montpellier. Yeah, but 24-year-old, 188 centimeters and 108 kilos. But he just looks like, potentially another person who's going to wreak havoc against us.
Yeah, for sure. All right, the backs, Kuyo starting again. He had a fantastic game. He's been really good, actually. So, I mean, we've talked about how good Dupont is, potentially one of the best halfbacks in the world. But Kuyo has been fantastic. So,
he has been very good. He's surely throwing his hat in the ring as someone to be there. I think he has been used as maybe the 3rd choice, occasionally the 2nd choice, but he has been really solid for them.
And he's going to be partnered by Antoine Hastoy.
Yeah, you nailed that, Harry. Making his debut, and I haven't seen a lot of him, but by all reports, he's a well-rounded fly half. So
he's 27, mate. They've got about 29 fly halves that are about 21 and under. So I'd say this could be his one and only test unless he lights the world up. So I'm expecting him to run everything because he knows this is his chance.
That's it. He's obviously paid them to be like, look, I just need my 1 cap before I get a chance again. You know what I mean? Just
put me against a tier 2 nation. That's fine. Like. But then the name that
I saw actually, sorry, we dropped further down the. I know we moved up to 5th on the ladder, but we actually dropped down again because it's now 1 is South Africa, 2 is South Africa A, and then so everyone
adjacent South Africa adjacent.
Sorry, adjacent.
Yeah, look, then the name we all saw first on this list. My name was drawn straight to him, Teddy Thomas. He is an exciting player. He seemed to be there forever in the 11 jersey. He's 27 years old. He's got 27 caps and 15 tries, but he scored a try against Australia. Kagi, how long ago was this, mate?
Mate, back in 2014. So, yeah, I think you're bang on. He's only 27, but it feels like he's been around forever. So we're saying what's interesting about it is that I think the French, unlike a lot of teams, it's very hard to hold down a jersey in the French team. So he's certainly been in and out of the squad all the time. But yeah, he was a name that when we saw him on the list, we were like, oh, damn. So definitely part of what I was alluding to before about being really excited about the outside, the wingers matchup this week. So I won't spoil who he's going up against, but yeah, very excited to see him.
Run this out, Craig. Tell us the new outside centre, and then we'll push.
So we've got Vincent moving into 12, and then we have Pierre-Louis Barassi moving in for a start at 13. He's a youngster, so he's plays for Lyon. He's 23 years old. He's got about 42 caps for Lyon and 2 caps for France, so has played before, but he's a 13 through and through, just to try through with 13. Yeah.
He's also a French sevens player. Played there for a couple of years, 2017, 2018. I think he made his French debut at the Rugby World Cup, which is quite impressive, against Tonga after Wesley Fofana got injured. I think it was against Argentina. So he got called into that squad quite late to make his debut at a Rugby World Cup. That's not bad.
So I guess whilst they're losing Dante and his breakdown prowess, which he has been prolific in, being a sevens player, I think we can expect some breakdown work from Barassi as well. So
it just comes back to the fact that now the entire back line is going to be fleet-footed as well. Yeah. So, geez, their ability to counter-attack if Australia switch off for a second, it's got to be red hot, doesn't it?
I mean, realistically, the thing we've seen from them in both these tests are as soon as they start to shift that ball wide and they're adding a little bit of lateral movement, they start quite tight. As soon as they start to add in some of that lateral movement, it seems to be that they keep getting around all our players.
Yep. And rounding out, we've still got Peno on the wing, obviously my favourite, and Jaminet going from an uncapped D2 player to 3 tests for France. And again, he played so well last week that he's obviously earned himself another start. The bench, I think we've nailed most of the bench. Anyone else there? So we've also got a new player who might get his first cap. Not sure his first name, but Heretau.
Julien.
Sorry, what's his name?
Julien
Heretau. 26-year-old centre for Toulon. If you're playing for Toulon, you got to have some flair about you. So he should be good. He also played sevens, but quite a while ago, back in 2014 for France. So I don't know what to make of him, but exciting. They've got the 3 backs on the bench. They have again Boutier, Heretau, and the halfback.
Baron. Yes. Yeah, like there's numerous changes there. And if we jump across to the Aussie side, there are a lot of changes you'll see here up on the screen now. So we've got 7 as well, starting changes. So some significant
as well
changes
as the position
on both sides.
Yeah,
as well as that there. But look, I mean, the big thing for us, a name we wanted to see was James O'Connor. I think that direction from him has been severely missed, as well as Nick White. But he's had a little bit of a tweak to I think his injury, and he's out for a little while again, hopefully pushing to get in back for the Bledisloe. Interestingly, we've got James Slipper, Brendan Pangamosa starting again in the front row, with Alan Alatoa coming back to start, which something we're all expecting for him to work his way back into the start, allowing Tupou to have his impact off the bench. We weren't sure which lock was going to start again this week, but we knew they'd be joined by Darcy Swain, who gets starting debut.
I was going to say, just on that, mate, how good has James Slipper been? He's been unreal when he's been on.
He's a good player.
So
You don't play
honestly,
100.
the only thing I would say to that is that we kind of expected it. Like, he's just such a gun.
no, yeah, I know, but particularly fronting up against. I mean, the first game fronting up against Demba Bamba, he was absolutely holding that up. So no, he's been gun. But sorry, Nels, you're talking about the locks and who. Yeah, we thought they were going to rest one of them, but who did they rest?
Yeah. Oh, look, I think we were leaning towards, maybe there was a chance it was Lukan Salakaia-Lotto. Philip had been good, but Lukan Salakaia-Lotto is the one who gets his, the third start in the row with Matt Philip moving to the bench. And then we've had some.
I'm a little confused here. Why did we pick a 33-year-old? Is it 34-year-old Sitaleki Tamani?
Yeah.
When we had Isaac Rodder, who's come back from Japan,
Trevor Hosea.
And Trevor Hosea, two fantastic options. Tamani didn't get any minutes and is so much older than them. I just don't understand.
Harry, it's quite simple. We're building for the future. He'll be, a superstar in, the next week.
He was there to train the boys, Harry. He was there to train them, teach them the dark arts he's learned over in France, Sitaleki.
He was there to be physically imposing at training like Teofifi and Noah. That's what he was there to be, a physical lock to hurt people. So they go, shit, don't run at the big lock.
Yeah, he was a player coach basically. But no, look, I think it is interesting that they rested Philip, or sorry, not rested. They moved Philip to the bench and not Lukan Salakaia-Lotto, because Lukan's played all minutes. He's played every minute of the first two tests as well. So
impressive.
I still think that comes down to the fact that Lukan Salakaia-Lotto has played all through Super Rugby and probably has a match fitness as well, to be honest. His conditioning is going to be a bit better. And very interesting to hear Nick White talking about the fact that often they say they play test match Tuesday. You play a test match on Saturday and another test match on Tuesday, but you only get one cap. So obviously the level of physicality is right up there, that they think that they're going to be okay trying to back up and play that, given that they'll then get a little bit of a break. But if we push on to the back row, I guess the big ins here, the first one is Lachie Swinton. We talked about him last week. Guaranteed to be fantastic for 15 minutes and then subbed off for 65 for a red card. But geez, it's going to be a good 15 minutes. I think we're all really excited to see how that goes.
We'll see if there's any Frenchmen left 15 minutes later.
I really like this. I think this is a game we need to see Lachie Swinton. This is the style of game that he needs to suit, right? He needs to lift that physicality in the breakdown, in defence, and start putting some guys on their ass. And this is literally what he would be told to do. Try to hurt people, but try not to get carded. If you get carded, it's okay. Make it later in the game. Try not to. Make sure you take a few players out with you first.
Yeah, and Isi Nasserani subbing in at number 8. Harry Wilson taking a rest. I think he's had another big year. So no, I think it's understanding of the why they've decided to put him back on the bench. You got out of the squad, whereas you got Rob Valentini sitting on the bench, ready to come on for one of those two. Isi Nasserani, I think, has been pretty good. I think he started to find a little bit of form off the bench, obviously going overseas at the end of the year, which I think is rubbing a lot of people up the wrong way. So I hope that we get to see more of him, and I hope he has a big game here, because at his best, he's an absolutely damaging number 8.
He was not included in the squad at one point last year and worked his way back in after being told his work-ons. I think he's worked very hard to get this opportunity, and maybe that's why he's getting rewarded to get the chance before he leaves offshore. To give himself that name, keep him in the chat, whether he works his way back. I mean, I wouldn't be picking him if he doesn't come back to Australia, but he's trying to make his name still known for that Rugby World Cup. So this is his chance.
Yeah, I think last year, mate, he was told in no uncertain terms, he was coming back from injury, that he's not in shape. More or less, if you remember, for the series. But this year, no, certainly last week when he came off the bench, mate, he was making some fantastic carries, just the real hard graft. Remember, I was saying there were some times where we looked kind of clueless across the park, and that included the forwards. It looked like the French just had their number, knew where they were running next, even our big ball carriers. But Nasserani, he just trucked it up and threw them. He made a few huge carries. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I think you guys are right. Swinto and Nasserani both getting the start. They're going to be really hungry to impress straight off the bat. So, and I also think they're both really good in the line-out as well. Swinto, I think, is often underrated, his defensive line-outs. So I think that'll be really, really good.
Yeah, rounding out that back row is Hooper. I mean, the man hopefully
You mean rounding out
doesn't have to
the
play
team or just
and
rounding out the team? I think you mean just.
yeah, that's fair. But we'll jump across to some of these inclusions in the back. We've got Tate McDermott.
Ooh.
After I think 4 times off the bench or 3 times off the bench, finally making his start. The aim was surely to have him there with James O'Connor, but he will pair up with Noah Lolesio. We've also got Lenny Ikitau coming in at outside centre, shifting Hunter Paisami into inside centre, and another exciting name on the team sheet, Filippo Daugunu. So basically, if you need to make a sub, bring on a Reds player, and we'll give Lenny Ikitau a crack. Yeah, Filippo.
Mate, you sound
rounding it out
enough for a starting Tate McDermott, but no, how
Mate,
exciting?
I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk about him more. The game's going to hinge on him in a lot of ways.
Mm. Well, yeah, and look, the spoiler that I had alluded to earlier was, Filippo Daugunu coming in. I mean, that battle of those outside wingers, that's going to be unreal. We've got Corey Beatty going up against Peno and Teddy Tomas up against Filippo Daugunu. So that is going to be a hell of a battle. We just need to see the ball get wide. The French really do that rush up D where they just stop you getting it wide. But we just want to say, let the boys play. Get it out wide.
And look, I think the last thing on those subs as well is that obviously Reece Hodge is coming in off the bench with his 60-metre boot. So we're expecting the game to be tight and Reece Hodge to kick one from 60 or miss actually on recent form to win or lose the game. So.
Oh, rough. But also just to cover the entire back line. So, yes, we've got Matty Tuamua there, but it's awesome having Reece Hodge there just to come on wherever is needed. But, it was. I think I said to you guys earlier, it was funny about Hodge. They asked, I think Roz asked him, interviewed him during the game, why, when are you going to be back from injury? And he just said, no, I'm here. Haven't been getting picked. Just a bit rough.
So good, wasn't
it? But good to see Hodge back.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to see. We've also got Jordan Iualisi coming in on the bench as well.
Yes. The Prince. Look, where do the Wallabies need to improve, guys? We've talked about a few shortcomings. What do we think? I think the first one for me we've already touched on is that short kicking game. Hunter Paisami at 12, I think if he gets the ball in his hands a little bit more, hopefully we get to see a few more of those opportunities. I was actually surprised with how many of those he got in the first test. So I'm interested to see how he decides to kind of play his hand and if he puts a few more of those short kicks in. And same with Noah Lolesio, to be honest, as well. He's going to have Ikitau over at outside centre, who he's a little bit more familiar with as well. So there is a little bit of combination there. I think it was something before the test series that we recognised, and then listening to Dave Rennie talk about after the first test, they talked about a lot as well. So I think that's definitely an area the Wallabies will look to improve in this game.
Yeah, look, I think that was the biggest one for me, really. I think Paisami really has to bring that game back now, switching into that 12 jersey, take a bit of that pressure off Noah Lolesio. It just has to happen early. I think we need to put in a few kicks, put it into the pocket, into the corner as well. And that's what's going to start to slow this defensive line down, have a few of our bigger bodies running in tight, have Tate McDermott bringing those players into the game, and it will create the spaces out wide. That work has to happen early on in the match. Set that tone to get these guys into the game for mine.
Yep, I think those are both great points. My point's the same as last week. It's a real simple one. It's just line speed and physicality. I think last week, you could probably objectively say that the French won the physicality battle. And like I said, they just made us feel on both attack and defense that they had our number. And we're a big momentum-based team. Obviously, if we'd scored those tries early, we would have been helping us in all facets of the game. But I think you've got to come out here early and you've got to put them on their ass. Particularly, here we go. We've got an opportunity with a brand new 10 getting his first cap. I want to see Lockie Swinton and Nazarani take his head off. I talked about it again a lot last week, so I won't go into it again. But if you just hit him once or twice, I think last week I saw Harry Wilson get Carbonell once. Did absolutely nail him. But I said, if you do that 2 or 3 times, you just put that little bit of doubt in their mind, remove a bit of time and space, and they take a step sideways before they take one forward. So for mine, that's what I want to see.
If you were the captain right now, you'd be saying that to him for sure. And also, obviously, Hooper's always the captain, but you'd be talking to Hooper as well and saying, mate, just hit him late early in the game. Let him know you're there, and then yell at. Yes,
You're saying that Hooper's going to say to Swinton to hit someone late.
No. I say that to
That's what
Hooper
Swinton's
off the
going to
scrum.
hear.
Off the scrum, Harry. I want Hooper to hear it.
5th-minute red card.
Early in, no, don't hit him that late, mate. Hit him a little bit late, rub his head in the ground a little bit, and then run off and go, it's coming all day, mate. Rattle the young 10. It's something that needs to be done. It happens all the time.
The other one for me is I think we just have to compete 1 to 15 or 1 to 23 over the ball. I actually don't even care if we get pinged a few times early for going off our feet and taking the ball, because I just want the referee to be forced to make some decisions at the ruck, because we have not adjusted to actually attacking the ball at the ruck, and we're just getting everything go against it because of that. And look, the French, credit to them, have been good enough to take advantage of that very big difference in how the game has been ref this year. And I think it's a crucial one for Australia to get momentum, because we have those fantastic attacking stats, but then the game generally changes when we start to get a bit of momentum and they get a penalty, easily letting off because of the fact that we just can't complete the ruck.
An interesting thing for mine is you see it again and again and again, you know, throughout the last handful of years. If a team is going at every breakdown, generally the call goes against them. You know, they go, well, you're not picking and choosing. You're going for every single one. I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But it hasn't seemed to happen for France. They will hit 4 or 5 in a row and literally throw 2-3 players into them. And for somehow the ball pops out and they're always given the benefit of the doubt. For me, it's quite confusing.
Yeah, look, Harry's put a huge amount of question marks in our notes under the heading of attack that we left blank. Clearly, no one got to how can the Wallabies improve their attack? No, look, and for mine, it's how do the Wallabies change up their game plan when the French have your number? Particularly, you know, they've clearly been trying to go wide. That second man inside play. Those things are just not working.
I actually disagree a little bit. I actually disagree. Look, we made a couple of line breaks from Tom Banks on that inside ball. Corin Betty almost scored a number of tries last week. I think it's just the last pass and the execution and the support lines. It's the little things. I think both of those tactics have worked pretty well for us.
Well, I think. Look, for mine, you nailed on the head in that last week we didn't have that short kicking game, and when they are rushing and cutting offside, I would rather that us put a grubber through than trying to throw that long, stupid ball over the top. There was once Penno almost intercepted it as well. They're forcing us to push, like make low percentage plays. And I think you have to choose instead to put a grubber or a kick through. The worst result is that it goes out and you've gained territory. Do you know what I mean? You've got to weigh it up. And I think they're trying to force us into low percentage plays, and we need to turn that on its head. So
I agree.
But do you guys have any other ideas for attack?
I think we've touched on it, mate. I think we've literally gone, we need some of that physicality in tight, and we need to earn the getting the ball wide. It is based around some control that we haven't had for 80 minutes in these last 2 games. We've had it in parts. We had it in that first game with some of those kicks that didn't come off. We need to bring that back. We will not win this game if we let their defensive lines shoot up however they feel like it.
Can I give one more note on that? Can we not decide to run everything from our own 22? It was the Michael Checker days where that's all we do. We don't kick the ball last week. Far out.
Yeah, look, last for me is Nazarani. We're going to need him to get us over the gain line, get us that go forward ball. And the absolute last point is Noah Lolesio. When in doubt, first of all, I want him to just bring the back line up. I want him to take a few steps forward and just bring all of the boys forward. So if that means he's just got to run the ball hard a few times without thinking of passing or any deception, then he's got to do that. But we got to keep the French honest. And I think Lolesio, he's rarely choosing to run and carry the ball, which, you know, you can understand with some of these massive French players. But for mine, that's what I want to see him straighten up a little bit. So.
And for the French, how do the French beat the Wallabies again this week? I think they were very good, Craigs, while we just wait for Nelson to connect back into us. They were very good last week, taking their points on offer, and so much of that was around capitalising on the Wallabies' ill discipline. They only scored 1 try last week. How do they score more points in attack?
Yeah, look, I think we're going to see much the same from them this week. Particularly when you're trying a lot of new players and stuff, it's really easy just to take the points when they're on offer and just keep building scoreboard pressure. it worked quite effectively last week, kept them in the game and kept them ahead of us, kept them momentum. So I think, I don't know, I'm expecting much of the same from them, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know how they do get the ball more outside. It's like the few opportunities they've had have kind of been, it's felt like from counter-attack. So I think they're going to play a fairly similar style, just try to overwhelm us physically with that line speed and throw everything at every breakdown. So I wouldn't be changing much if I was them. But what are your thoughts?
So much of their attack as well has come from dominant carries, getting an arm free and throwing offloads from Waki and the rest of their back row as well. The other thing for me was surely they've got to look for an opportunity with Arthur Vincent, who is now becoming one of the linchpins of their back line, taking advantage of this new combination of Alessio, Paisami, and Ikatau. Whenever you have a new combination, there's always more holes in defense. And he's a young player, but he's an experienced, smart player who's back in what I believe is his preferred position. I think him trying to pick some gaps around that area and take advantage of that new combination could be a real opportunity for them as well.
Oh, he'll be running at Loliseo for sure. He'll have his number, absolutely. But yeah, no, I don't know how they do get it much wider. We got to see a little bit more of Peno last week, and even Jaminet. So, it would be nice to see more of them. But I expect much the same. We've talked about the bomb squad. I've forgotten the French translation of that already. But Bamba coming on. Look, set piece will be vital, particularly in the second half. So, yeah, I think they're just going to try. Their formula to win this game is to rinse and repeat what worked last week and just do it even better.
And Nelson, final thought on this one for the preview. How did the French improve? How do they score more points against the Wallabies this week?
Look, I think there was a real ascendancy for them in the line-out. So they can play a little bit more field position, I think, in this one. Their line-out was a real strength for them. They can attack from pretty much anywhere on the field. But I'd start to plug this Wallaby side into the corner, make us have a bit of pressure on our line-out throw and make us struggle to get out of our own 22, which we did last week, as you touched on, Harry. We decided we wanted to run out. So for me, I think it's quite simple. You plug us into the corner, put pressure on us, make us make those mistakes.
Yeah. And that about rounds out the main course, fellas. That is the main course. I was going to say the dessert, I was going to give it away, but I won't.